Hi guys, it's Hannah, and I wanted to talk about something that kind of tripped me up in the beginning of my recovery, or beginning to eat unlimited calories from fruit or carbohydrates on a fruit-based diet. And obviously there are a million other things that trip me up in getting there. That's kind of the whole point of having an eating disorder. But something that once I was actually to the point of wanting to, like, actually at the point where I was like, I'm putting I have to put my mental and physical health before my weight, finally, like, duh. Basically when I was ready to recover, in other words. There was still something that kind of, like, at the beginning was like hard to get over. And that is more specific to this lifestyle, and that is being afraid of being a bad example of veganism, or like 80-10-10 or fruit-based diet, because, like, if you're anything like me, then you're really passionate about not just a fruit-based diet, which obviously, but more specifically veganism, and more specifically the ethics of veganism. And animals, and you don't want people to eat animals, and you want people to, understand that concept and where you're coming from with that. And it's already something that is so readily judged, and so not part of the dominant culture, and leaves us to a lot of scrutiny, that you don't want your weight to just become like another part of that mess. So yeah, when I finally was at the point of, I'm gonna get better, I know that this is what I need to do. I need to start eating unlimited calories. That's the only way that I'm ever going to get healthy, both mentally and physically. I was still really nervous. I was nervous because I knew I was going to gain weight. Like, that was just inevitable. I'd starved myself for 8 years. Like, my body's gonna, equal an opposite reaction. So, so I was really scared, because it was also kind of like just about that time that I was starting to really, really get into the ethics of veganism. I think that kind of makes sense, that once you have dealt with a lot of your own shit, then you can start to really look honestly at other problems in the world, I guess, really. And so yeah, like, once you've worked on some of your own problems, you can start looking at other stuff that's crazy, and you want to help get better. So yeah, like, ethics were becoming really important to me, and I was just starting to wear vegan t-shirts, and being more, I guess, public about my the ethical part of my plant-based eating. And but it was also I knew that I was going to be gaining a significant amount of weight at that point. So that was scary, because I didn't want people to look at me and think, oh, well, she's gaining weight on me, being a vegan, or eating fruit, or whatever fruit makes you fat. Never gonna do that, Even though I was I was really tiny at that time, and I don't think that at this point, when I actually made the decision to start eating unlimited calories, that I was technically underweight anymore. But I was still really small, so but people don't really, not always, don't really think logically like that. Oh, well, she's really tiny, and she underate for 8 years, so of course she's gonna gain weight. I knew that people would not get that, and I didn't expect people to get that, and I didn't expect that people to understand or even know my whole backstory. People just see from afar, she's wearing a vegan t-shirt, and last week in class she looked a lot thinner than she does this week, because I was still in college at this point. Anyways, so that was scary. But I was also at the point where I was so miserable, and both physically and mentally. My physical health and mental health were just ugh. And I was so ready to get better. I was so ready to start eating enough again. or for the first time in my life, really, basically, that, I did it anyways, and I was like, it doesn't matter. I'm doing this for me. I'm not doing it for anybody else. And if I'm ever going to be a help to the movement of veganism and to the animals, then I have to be taking care of myself first, and that has to happen. So I did that. I started eating unlimited calories, and I did start gaining weight, and and people obviously noticed. Like, it wasn't like it was, it's not easy to hide exactly. And I think that, because, there are even people that, like, didn't recognize me. They're like double take, like, in the hall or something, and, oh, that's Hannah. She looks different. But what I started realizing too, and why now it kind of seems crazy that I was like, even where I'm not crazy really, because that's just, people care about being skinny. But is that a lot of people are actually like really, like, the reaction has been opposite from the majority. Not everyone, of course. Some people are assholes. But for the most part, the reaction is, oh my God, you look amazing. Because people know what I used to be like. They know what I used to look like, how I used to act. They know that I had an eating disorder and that I was really not a happy, healthy person. So when they see me now, and that I am happy, and that I am healthy, and that I don't look like I'm dying, it's, it's a positive reaction, and people are actually like really inspired by it, it seems. And, it's like a good thing. It's not like people are like, oh, well, I'm never doing veganism because clearly you gained weight. I think some people are a little bit confused by it, maybe, like, but you're only eating fruit. Like, how? How did that happen? And, sometimes I explain and sometimes I don't, and it doesn't really matter. But, yeah, like, it's kind of crazy. Like, don't think that, that you getting healthy is going to be a bad thing for this movement. It's not. It's going to be amazing. People are going to be really impressed with that transformation. And I've been really like overjoyed by like the responses that I've gotten from people, both like from like family members or friends, or just people I meet who, when I tell them that I used to have an eating disorder, I used to be really depressed and anxious and everything, they're like, really? Because I'm glad you told me that, because I would have never known. And yeah, and just like I've made like Facebook posts recently about it, because it's just so important to me, and it's, been such a huge change in my life. I've been like kind of sharing it more like publicly, I guess, with like an online community. And like, yeah, like a lot of people seem, so supportive, and it's really incredible. And all of that makes sense. Like, and of course, when I was first going into it, and like that didn't occur to me that like, me being healthy that's going to be a good thing, not like negative. But, just some little leftover like illogical thinking from anorexia, and I was worried that me gaining weight was going to be like this, ooh, not a good thing. So anyways, but yeah, so, and that makes sense, because you think about like, or I think about when I was still really sick, like I wasn't a good example. Like, a lot of people, I guess, where I got that idea, other than from my own disordered mind, was that a lot of people did comment on like, oh my gosh, you're so tiny, or not you're so tiny like in a negative way, but people are always like, oh my gosh, no wonder you are so fit or so lean or whatever, when they heard about how I ate. So yeah, so that kind of like, made me nervous about like, I won't be that lean anymore. What would people think about that, But like, there were a few times like throughout my disordered existence as a vegan or raw vegan. Like once I had already become vegan, but was still disordered. That I looked pretty good, like I was, there were times when I was doing pretty well and looked pretty like fit, and I was doing tons of activity at the time and was pretty ripped looking, I guess. Different points in time. And so there were times that I looked good, but within the last year of before recovery, before eating unlimited, I did not look that great, honestly, like, because that was just kind of when my body was hitting a wall. And like in every way. My digestion was terrible, so I was always kind of like bloated, which just made me like generally uncomfortable, so I just became like less vibrant in general. My mood was totally different, and I had very low energy levels, and I wasn't vibrant, I wasn't glowing or anything, which was kind of like, what the hell? I'm eating like the most beautiful foods in the world. Why do I look like so miserable and feel so miserable? And yeah, like, so be logical about it. If you're in this position right now and you're like nervous about starting to like truly take care of yourself, regardless of your weight gain and regardless of how other people are going to react to it. Like, maybe some people will react to it negatively, but let's think about this logically. Right now, if you're at that point where you're like, I need to change and I need to start eating more because this isn't working, then you're already at a point where you're probably a bad example anyways. Like, you can't be a bad example of a vegan if you're not exploiting animals. That's what a vegan is. That's the only measure that we should put on it. But because we live in the world that we live in and people make judgments on us and, look at our everything that we are and just automatically equate it to veganism or, whatever, then if you're miserable or you're, look frail or your hair is falling out or you're pale or all of these things that I certainly was, that's not a good example either. So, like, take care of yourself and don't worry about gaining weight and people, judging veganism as a whole because you're gaining weight. Because those people clearly aren't going to get the concept of veganism anyways, so there's really no point in worrying about what they think about it. You need to take care of yourself, because not only are you, as a healthy, happy person, going to be a much better activist or a much better living example of someone who's living a vegan lifestyle, but you're also going to be alive, which is important. If you're not here, you can't do very much. And I was certainly at the point when I finally made the decision to like start eating unlimited calories, where I probably could have, like, I'm not gonna lie, like, if I hadn't found this lifestyle, if I hadn't found the solution, whether it would have been like actual death by starvation or if it had just been me giving up and taking my own life, like, I probably wouldn't be here now. And if I hadn't figured it out. So please take care of yourself. And that's your only responsibility. Obviously, it's a precursor to everything else that you can possibly do in this world, whatever it is that matters to you. And especially if veganism matters to you, you have to be here to help out. And you have to be well, and you have to be vibrant, you have to be taking care of yourself first before you can make a difference, before you can do something productive, and before you can convince anyone of anything, really. If you're not taking care of yourself, then it's going to be really hard to convince people that you know what you're doing. So, eat. Eat as much as you care for, please. Lots. And if you can't get all fruit, then eat some potatoes, eat some rice, eat some other whole food, high carbohydrate plant foods, because they'll get your brain functioning properly again, and the rest of your body. And then you can do what you're on this earth to do, whether that's helping animals or doing something else that you're passionate about and that needs doing, because there's a lot of shit that needs to get done in this world right now. So take care of yourself first. That's important. Don't worry about being a bad example because you gained some weight. Because most likely, especially if you are coming from a long history of eating disorder, people are going to know that you gaining weight and you getting healthy and happy is like such a good thing. And if anything, it is going to be a huge, huge boost to the movement as a whole. It's not going to hurt it. It's not. I thought it was going, for some reason, thought that was what's going to happen. And it's the exact opposite. So please keep that in mind and go carb up. Okay, I love you. Bye.